A huge cultural shift as the Boy Scouts of America announces a name change to make it genderless, inviting girls to join the nearly 110-year-old organization. Hello and welcome to A Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. Scores of Boy Scout troops were formed in churches across America, mainly because the Scouts' values aligned with conservative religious values, vowing to honor God and country. But now, with this change, should churches vacate completely the organization? And is this change adding fuel to the fire, the Boys in Crisis fire? Here to debate, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council, and Christopher Hale, founder of the Francis Project. Welcome to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Tony, let me start with you. Then, the Mormon Church was the largest faith-based charter for Boy Scouts, and it began to disassociate itself with the Boy Scouts from other things they were doing, and the Baptist Church as well. I mean, should churches just simply leave the Scouts completely?
Well, as it said, the question is often asked, what's in a name? Well, there's a lot in a name, and I think this change of the name is very significant because it tells the story of what Scouting was. When you go back over a century ago when the Boy Scouts were started, it was about helping boys make that transition into manhood. And so when we saw the Boy Scouts open its doors and embrace homosexuality, then we began to see them say, well, we've got to then let girls in. Then goes the name. I really think the Boy Scouts should be called Searching now, because I believe they are now searching for their identity and who they are. And we've seen churches leaving since the inclusion of homosexuality into Scouts. So I just think this is probably the final step. And I think you're going to see organizations like Trail Life USA that pick up the baton of what the Scouts were created to do are going to go on and flourish in helping those young boys make that important transition, especially now in our culture today when so many young men are growing up without fathers.
Mm-hmm. And Christopher, I wanted you to comment on that, but also the idea of the Trail Life, because that is an organization that started in 2013. And the reason what it called the Boy Scouts transformation is a, quote, sort of lost journey into the woods of co-ed political correctness. What do you think?
The Christian community has two options in the United States. We can either back off or go in. And I think the idea that we're going to leave the Scout movement just because they're including women, the LGBT community, is absurd. It really is anti-gospel. It's anti the message of our faith community. Tony said about growing up and boys becoming men. Who better to help boys become men than encountering with women? Women are such huge parts of coming into manhood and these appropriate relationships. We both know that co-ed Christian connections are so important. Our churches are not exclusionary, all male, all female on Sundays. Why can't our communities growing into manhood be as well?
Okay, I just want to ask you a question because, we've got a situation where we have a boys in crisis where in every demographic group and in every benchmark, boys are actually falling behind. They make up a minority in the colleges. They're much more apt to be referred to as discipline problems. So the Boy Scouts provided an opportunity for them to be boys and be affirmed in the way they learn, as opposed to in the education system, which is really geared towards how girls learn. Tony, what are your thoughts?
Well, again, you go back to the origins of the Boy Scouts. It was created for that journey, but it was more than that. There was a recognition that we needed men who could, grow up, become true men, and could then maybe go into the military and defend our country. And to lose that protection, in fact, I would take issue with the fact that in many of our churches still today, and I've taught Sunday school, they separate the boys from the girls at young ages because they learn better that way and they're not distracted. There's plenty of time for boys to explore the reality that there are girls out there. But teaching them to be men, which is one of the great crises of our day, cannot be done when you're teaching girls and boys the same thing.
I know.
What we're seeing here is an elimination of manhood.
I do want to switch gears with you because we're running out of time, but because today the president signed on the National Day of Prayer, he signed an executive order protecting religious liberties and recognizing faith's role in shaping our country. Chris, I want to get your thoughts.
One of the problems we have on the left is this idea of this interaction between faith and government. This office is not new. The Faith-Based Neighborhood Partnerships Office was the creation of President Bush. It was prolonged by President Obama. It took President Trump a year to get it up and running. But this is an important concept. This is an important idea. For the progressive movement to have any growth into the future, we have to play ball with the faith community. We have to engage the faith community. And the faith community has been the forefront of progressive movements throughout American history, and it must be in this century as well.
And Tony, real quick, your thoughts.
Well, I think the greatest example today was when the president brought John Ponder, the convicted bank robber, and the FBI agent up on stage who had arrested him, and talked about their story, about how Richard Beasley was praying for John when he was in prison, and he came to know the Lord Jesus Christ. There's a young man who grew up without a dad, went the wrong way, but faith got him on the right track. That's what religious freedom is, allowing people to take their faith to work and to direct everything they do. And I'm happy to say that under the Trump administration, that idea is back.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Christopher Hale and Tony Perkins. Thanks for being on A Spirited Debate.
Thanks for having us.
I'm Lauren Green, and
Thanks
thanks
Lauren.
for watching.